Never a dull moment in a front row chat, is there, Will?
Oh my God.
Unbelievable. Yeah, great preview. Great to have both guys on. Extra little bit of spice before the weekend.
They respect each other.
100%. How good. That's what it's about.
How good indeed. That matchup's going to be awesome. There's plenty of matchups across the park. Let's be honest. Jason Potros at 10. You've also got Mac Mason at 10. Well, let's start getting into this preview because there are two big teams with lots of players across the board, man. Where should we start with?
Well, Will, I'm going to start with asking you a little bit about the Free Jacks. I think we set the tone. I'll take Seattle. You can take a bit of New England. But if I'm looking at this game from a Free Jacks point of view, what are their keys to victory and key areas they have to get right this weekend?
I think one of the really impressive things from the weekend just gone against Chicago was their defense and their line speed. They came off the line and they really shut anything down. Obviously, Chicago got some weapons on the edge and they made sure the ball didn't really get there that many times. Obviously, Seattle, they've got the likes of a Tony Pulu, they've got a Stigling, they've got Connor Moonaham, you name it, depending on the selection. I don't know yet what they're going to go with, but like, so long as they keep that line speed, I feel that is such a suffocator for them just on the defensive side of things. Then their lineup. I think Corbs, and you'll know this area more than I do, they've actually suffered this season. They've had one of the worst lineups in the league up until about week 16. Andrew Quattron's now finding his men, and actually I thought their line out and their whole being in that area against the Chicago Hounds is great. It's going to have to be good against the Seawolves, who have been quality in that area, especially when you've got someone like Big Rhino Herbst, who's brilliant at stealing the ball. So set pieces are obviously going to be big. I think the line out in particular, but then it comes down to the halfbacks, and it comes down to a guy who I was so impressed when I played him last year in the championship final, Jason Potros. He's been here before, he knows his way around the field, he's a game manager. He showed it brilliantly against the Hounds, and I believe he knows what he's doing when the crunch time is. And it didn't get all his kicks of the weekend, but usually he's a very good goal kicker as well. So I've got to say, New England will rely on their veterans, they rely on their line speed, their aggressiveness. Scott Mathy has just got a culture of they're gritty. You know what it's like being a coach playing them. I know what it's like playing them as a player. I would say on the whole, they go into this game as favourites. And I would say overall, they have the confidence in the performance they did have at the weekend. I think that might be, they do that again against the Seawolves. I see them taking away a championship. The other area as well is actually an individual. It's Reece McDonald. Kick badly to Reece McDonald, and that's at your own peril. That try against the Hounds just showed his quality, his talent, that I honestly see being a weapon that could be match-winning if you kick loosely to him. However, can't write off the Seattle Seawolves. How dare I write off? And I know you know them well, man. Seattle, what do we think?
Well, they're best in the West for a reason. And when you look at Seattle, they have so many strengths to their game. And what I like about them is they're really a complete side. So I think the first thing you've got to respect about Seattle is the game control and the kicking game of their 9, 10, 15, 13, however they structure that back line. There's usually 3 key boots that really determine where and when the game is played around the park. And that's what I think Seattle are going to have. Free Jacks, very tidy kick game as well. Very good structure of escorting their players. Those percentages, who gets the better of the exchanges, who wins maybe the 10, 12 contestables, the majority of those could decide the game because it's both in the DNA of both teams for me. Just like Reece McDonald being the threat of kick counter, Seattle have so many game-breaking weapons. All it takes is one moment. We talked about Divvy and Rousseau at the end of the game. Game-changing players making game-changing moments. Both of these teams have it. Both have absolute razzle to run back on the kick counter. Seattle are usually not as much as a kick return side, where the Free Jacks, that is absolutely in their DNA. Reece McDonald showed how potent he could be against Chicago. They have to find a contain him, and there's a lot of space at Snapdragon. It's going to be a tough ask. The next area I think Seattle that, they've been strong is their defense. The thing they're going to have to realize is they at home at Starfire, it's a much narrower field.
Yeah,
I believe it's 7-8 meters narrower than this Snapdragon Stadium field. And what Seattle have done really well in this competition is they fill the field. They haven't over-competed at the breakdown. They've been much more about time and tackle, fill the field, and just make that seawall and make it almost hard to break. I do think with more space, they're going to have to be a little bit work harder in defense. I think the way the Free Jacks can stretch the field, use the width, the way they went back down the short side, similar to Dallas did as well, that's going to be a massive point of containment for Seattle in defense. The next area for me, which is massive, is gain line. Who gets the better of these exchanges? The Free Jacks punch well above their weight in the contact area, but I think Seattle might have a bit more firepower with their carriers in the pack. the way they load up that front row,
big guys,
4 knots
big
in
guys.
really in that back 5. Do they change that a little bit with a slightly bigger field? Maybe, but it's worked for them so far, so I think they keep that. The next area for me that could really decide it is the set piece.
Well,
and this is probably the one area I think Seattle probably have the clear advantage in coming in. If we rewind to when these teams played each other in round 8, it was absolute domination up front at the scrum from Seattle. They put that Free Jacks pack back on skates, constant scrum penalties, massively helped them control the game. The thing to remember as well, the referee in round 8 was Luke Rogan. The referee in the MLR final is Luke Rogan. So the Free Jacks are going to have to work very hard from minute 1 to show that they are a different side to that punishing they took up front in round 8. The other area that's massive in the set piece is going to be the line out, but really the maul.
Well,
okay, both tries
yeah.
have a very successful attacking maul. If you look at Seattle, the way they can get that back stack on the maul, get round the edge there, has been very hard to stop for teams. They got a really good one against Dallas Jackals, but also the Free Jacks are really crafty at the maul. Hard mauling side, but also lots of variety and variation.
Yeah.
That is
get away with it
Free
as well.
Jacks 101. There's always things, tricks up their sleeve to watch out for. They usually steal a try or 2 a game in the season with that. That's going to be a massive area. But the one that probably decides it for me is who can defend the maul better. Because if you actually look, Free Jacks have conceded a few maul tries, so have Seattle in these playoffs. Whoever is able to shore that up and not be on the receiving end of those probably skirts the game for me. And then last thing that's probably the keyest factor of all these teams, something that the Free Jacks to me are incredible at, is red zone efficiency. I think in the game against San Diego, Seattle had incredible red zone efficiency. Limited entries to the 22, came away with points. That is really the Free Jacks DNA. When they get down there, they don't get the maul, they hold onto the ball, they usually score from something else after it. Seattle need to make sure that they take their shots. They left too many shots out on the missing against Dallas. They cannot afford that against this Free Jack side this weekend.
Well, there you have it. We've given our side of things. I think it's going to be the New England Free Jacks. You're saying it's going to be the Seattle Seawolves. That's what the competition's been like this season, man. It's been literally, you can't pick it, and it's going to be here, Snapdragon Stadium. It's about not playing the occasion. As much as anything, you know about big games, I know about big games as well. They've got to play their rugby. I'm going to be fascinated, man. Are you excited?
It's massive, mate. I can't wait for it. I've got goosebumps thinking about it. Obviously, I wanted to be in this game with the San Diego Legion. I'm putting my heartbreak to the side. I'm getting my rugby fan hat on. I can't wait to be allowed inside those gates until we're actually able to watch this game on the weekend. Marshmallow playing too. I told you I almost saw him in Vegas.
You did.
I'm still on the mission to make sure I get him without the helmet. That's my goal of the weekend. TBD how we do.
TBD, we've loved saying that this season. Hey, look, we are finishing up here. We're going to get back to studio, some final whistle, because we want to see how the women went on in the Olympic Games. But you've got to come and join here at Snapdragon. Get your tickets on sdlegion.com. Come and join Marshmallow. Come and join Corbs and I. Come and join Seattle Seawolves versus the New England Free Jacks. It's the championship time in MLR, and it's here on Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Let's go.